Hello dear students, how are you? I hope you are in pink of your health. Now before starting the lecture, I'll tell you a famous saying by a famous business tycoon. He said that many die of boredom. Many die of boredom, psychological conflict, psychological conflict and disease. They do not die of hard work. So don't stop doing hard work. And I can assure you that there is no final comfort in life except our work. So let's start our lecture, that is kidneys, a very important lecture. Now what are kidneys? Which system are they come under? The renal system. Let's study the organs of the renal system first. We have the kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder and the urethra. They together form the components. These are the components of renal system. So what are kidneys now? Everyone knows that kidneys are a pair of bean shaped organs which are present in all the vertebrates. And where they are present? They are present on the posterior abdominal wall behind the peritoneum. They are present behind the peritoneum, so they are retroperitoneal organs. And the function of kidneys are to remove waste products from the body, to maintain balanced electrolyte levels and regulate blood pressure. Now here are the kidneys, the right kidney and the left kidney, and we can see what is this overlying the kidney, the major organ, adrenal gland or suprarenal glands. Now let's study the situation. Let's get the orientation of the kidneys. Where do they lie? The kidneys lie in which regions? Epigastric, hypochondriac, lumbar and umbilical regions. You very well know the various regions, right? And the vertical location, the extent of the kidneys are from T12 to L3. T12 to L3. And right kidney is slightly lower because of the presence of a massive organ, that is the liver. While left kidney is slightly longer, say about 1 centimeters, and it is narrower than the right kidney. The upper poles of the kidneys are nearer to median plane. So they are obliquely present, not straight present. They are not straight, the upper poles lie near to the median plane. Now if we study the dimensions of kidney, dimensions of the kidneys are 11 into 6 into 3 centimeters. Length, breadth and thickness. Weight is about 150 grams in males and 135 grams in females. So let's see the kidney. It lies in the, remember the quadrants, the epigastric region, the hypochondriac region. Because we have right and left kidneys, so both the chondrium are involved. So they are in epigastric, hypochondriac, lumbar regions as well as in the umbilical region. Now let's study the external features of kidneys. Yes, kidneys have two poles, upper pole and the lower pole. The borders are medial and lateral, and the surfaces are anterior and posterior. Let's see the diagram now. So kidney has an upper pole and a lower pole. The borders are medial as well as lateral. The surfaces are anterior surface and behind is the posterior surface. Now what do we have on the poles? On both the poles, that is the upper poles we are talking about, we have the gland, that is a suprarenal gland. Supra, above, renal, gland, it means the gland which is present above the kidney, while the lower pole is pointed. Lower pole is pointed, and the surfaces, yes, anterior and posterior. The anterior surface is somewhat rough and posterior is somewhat smooth. Rough is anterior, posterior is smooth. The lateral border is convex, and the medial border, not medium, sorry, medial border is concave. That is the hilum, where the hilum is present. So let's see now. You can see the slide. The upper pole, suprarenal gland is not shown, but is the upper pole or the superior pole, one and the same thing. Lower pole is comparatively pointed, superior or inferior or upper or lower. Anterior surface is rough and the posterior surface is smooth. The lateral border is convex, while the medial border is concave. Now this is very important to study the coverings of kidney. There are three main layers, and we are going to study from deep to superficial, from inside to outside. Okay, what are these? The first capsule, which is covering the kidney, the true capsule, is known as the renal capsule. The renal capsule. It is a tough fibrous capsule. A tough fibrous capsule. After the renal capsule is the perirenal fascia. That is a renal fascia. That is a fascia which is surrounding the kidney itself. Okay, after the capsule is the perirenal fascia, and this fascia has two layers, anterior layer and a posterior layer. Since G comes first and Z is the last alphabet, so anteriorly is the fascia of Girota, and posteriorly is fascia of Zuckerkandl, and lastly is the pararenal or the paranephric fat. Let's repeat once again. What are the coverings of kidney? We are studying from inside to outside or from deep to superficial. The first layer is the renal capsule. It is a tough fibrous capsule which is a true capsule. After that is the perirenal fascia, that is a renal fascia, and it has two layers, anterior layer and a posterior layer. Anterior layer is known as the fascia of Girota, and posterior is fascia of Zuckerkandl. And then finally is the pararenal or paranephric fat. Fat is surrounding the kidney. So let's see. So you can see over here, this is the kidney. Above that is the adrenal gland. Now the capsule is surrounding the kidney. Above that is the fibrous tissue, that is anteriorly is the fascia of Girota. Zuckerkandl is not shown in this slide. And this is the fat which is surrounding the kidney. We can see one more slide. So let's study once again. The first is the renal capsule. Which is surrounding the kidney itself. Above that renal capsule is the perinephric or perirenal fascia, which has two layers. Anterior layer is fascia of Girota, and the posterior layer is fascia of Zuckerkandl. Okay, and lastly is the perirenal or paranephric fat. These three structures are present from inside to outside or from deep to superficial. Hope it's clear to you now. One more slide we can have a look, that is showing the transverse section. This is the 12th rib. We are starting from the posterior to anterior aspect. So posterior to what will be the sequence of structures now? Yes, the sequence of structures are, the first is the Renal capsule, the true capsule. After that is the perirenal fascia or perinephric fat, which has two layers. Anteriorly is the anterior aspect is the fascia of Girota, and posteriorly we have the fascia of Zucker-Candle in blue color. Okay, then is the fat pararenal, that is surrounding the para means it is surrounding the kidneys. Pararenal fat or paranephric fat, one and the same thing. Clear? Yes. Let's study the structure of the kidneys now. Now, naked examination, macroscopically, there is a cortex which is outer reddish brown, and inner one is the pale medulla. Cortex, medulla, and another structure is the renal sinus. What is the renal sinus? It is a space, it is a cavity within the kidney which is occupied by renal pelvis, renal calyces, blood vessels, nerves, and fat. The port of kidney. Okay, so what are the structures? First of all is the cortex, which is present outside, medulla is the inside, and sinus is the space. So renal sinus is a cavity within the kidney which is occupied by all these structures. Let's see now. So the outer thing is the cortex. The cortex. After the capsule is the cortex. Inner is medulla, and this is the renal sinus or the space. One more slide showing you the same thing, the cortex and the medulla, and you can see these triangular structures. These are known as the pyramids. Base outside, apex inside. And what else we can see? The sinus. In the sinus, what are the structures? The vessels, renal artery, renal vein, and the pelvis. That is a ureter is formed over here. Yes, first study the medulla. In the medulla is the presence of pyramids. The pyramids, they consist of tubules that transport urine from the cortical, that is from the cortex of the kidney. Pyramids are the, what are these? These are tubules, triangular shape. They are triangular in shape, and their main function is to transport urine from cortex to the from cortex or outer part of the kidney. And their apices form renal papilla. Renal, plural is papillae. Renal papillae. What are these calyces? These calyces are the chambers of the kidneys through which urine passes. And they are minor as well as major calyces. Minor calyces surround the apex of the renal pyramids. Okay, and 2 or 3 minor calyces, they converge to form major calyx, through which urine passes before continuing through the renal pelvis into the ureter. No worries, let's have a look now. This is the slide. We talked about the cortex, we talked about the medulla. In the medulla, there is presence of pyramids. Pyramids, you can see, base is on the near the cortex and apex is inside. So they are triangular in shape, and the apices form renal papilla, and there are minor calyx. After the papilla is the minor calyx. Here is also the minor calyx. They surround the apex of the renal pyramids, and about 2 to 3 minor calyces, they join to form the major calyx. Okay, then is the renal pelvis and is the ureter. This is the internal anatomy of kidney. Clear? One more slide. So this is the cortex, here is the medulla, these are the pyramids, base near the cortex, and apex is where? Inside in the medulla. they constitute the pyramids, triangular shape, and these are the minor calyx which surround the apex of the pyramid, and two or three minor calyces they join to form the major calyx. Okay, this area is this is the renal pelvis which forms the ureter. Hope it's clear to you. Now we'll study the cortex of kidney. Regarding the cortex, there are cortical arches or cortical lobules. Arches or lobules are there which are present in the cortex area. These are the portions of the renal substance which intervene, which are present between the bases of the pyramids and the capsule of the kidney. Okay, there are certain areas from the cortex which are present in between the bases of the pyramids and the capsule of the kidney, and there is also known as renal columns. Renal columns or Bertin column, also known as Bertin column or column of Bertin. Column of Bertin. These are the connective tissue extensions that radiate downwards from the cortex through the medulla. We'll see the slide. The pyramids and the renal columns, they together constitute the kidney lobes. So let's see the slide now. So we talked about the pyramids in the kidney. And we talked about the cortical arches. These are the portions of the renal substance, that is the cortex, which are present between the bases of the pyramids and the capsule of the kidney. So these are the cortical arches. They are arch-like. Okay, and renal columns are which are extending in between these arches. These are the renal columns, also known as Bertin column or column of Bertin. These are the connective tissue extensions, and they radiate downwards from the cortex through the medulla. And together, the pyramids and the renal column, they are taken together as kidney lobes. After studying the structure of kidney, the important point is, which is really very important and can be asked in your main examination, is the relations of kidney. This is the most common question which is asked in the kidneys, and it's very easy also because we have to give anterior and posterior relations, and a very good point is that the posterior relations of both the kidneys, right as well as left, are the same. The posterior relations of both the kidneys are the same. Anteriorly the relations are different, but posteriorly the relations are the same. So if you are asked the posterior relations of left kidney or right kidney, you have to draw the diagram accordingly, and the relations are the same. And what are these? Let's study now. The upper pole. The upper pole is the suprarenal gland or the adrenal gland. Along the medial border, above the hilum, is again the suprarenal gland, and below the hilum is the ureter. Above the hilum, suprarenal gland, below the hilum, ureter. We are talking about the relation, the medial border relation. And posteriorly, the relations are diaphragm. It has two ligaments, medial and lateral arcuate ligaments. And the muscles. The muscles, very easy to remember. You cannot afford to forget this. Why? I'll just tell you. The muscles, let's study the name of the muscles first. That is from medial to lateral. These are psoas major, quadratus lumborum, and transversus abdominis. Psoas major, quadratus lumborum, and transversus abdominis. These are the muscles of the abdomen. And how to remember them? Just remember the alphabet from A to Z. P comes first, then Q, then T. So from medial to lateral, psoas major, quadratus lumborum, and transversus abdominis. So you'll never forget the sequence. Then also are the subcostal vessels. The nerves are subcostal, iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal. The three nerves are iliohypogastric, subcostal, iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal nerves. Also, the right kidney is in relation with the 12th rib, while the left kidney is in relation with the 11th as well as 12th rib. Why? Because right kidney was lower as compared to the left kidney. Now let's see the slide. What we talked about, the posterior relations of the kidneys. So the upper pole, yes, is a suprarenal gland. The suprarenal gland is not shown here, but it is present above the kidney. And if we see the medial border, this is the hilum area. So above the hilum area is the suprarenal gland. Below the hilum area is the ureter. Okay. So what are the relations? The relations are the diaphragmatic area, and there are two ligaments, medial and lateral arcuate ligaments. The muscles are from medial to lateral are psoas major, quadratus lumborum and transversus abdominis. Okay. For the left kidney also, psoas major, quadratus lumborum and transversus abdominis. The nerves are subcostal, iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal nerves, and right kidney is related to the 12th rib, while the left kidney is related to the 12th as well as in 11th rib. We can see one more slide, sorry. So these are two vessels. So left kidney is in relation with the 11th as well as 12th rib, and this area is for the diaphragm, and diaphragm has medial and lateral arcuate ligaments. The muscles are from medial to lateral, yes, speak up, psoas major, quadratus lumborum and transversus abdominis. Clear? And this is very, very, very important. You must draw the diagram also. Now we have done the posterior relations. Let's study the anterior relations. Anterior relations are different for both the kidneys. Let's study the right kidney first. On the right side, above is the right suprarenal gland. Then is the liver, second part of the duodenum. Then there is hepatic flexure of colon, the jejunal area and the duodenal area. Right suprarenal gland, liver, duodenum's second part, hepatic flexure of colon, jejunal area and the duodenal area. While the left kidney, the anterior relations are, yes, left suprarenal gland, spleen, gastric area, pancreatic area, jejunal area and the colic area. Let's have a look. Now this slide is showing you both the kidneys, the anterior view. So on the right side first is the suprarenal gland, of course right suprarenal gland. Then is the hepatic area or the area for the liver, duodenal area, the colic area, that is hepatic flexure of colon, the jejunal area. Okay, the whole area, this middle side is of the duodenum. While for the left side, yes, again is the left suprarenal gland, that is the left suprarenal area. Then is the stomach, and this color, this violet color is showing you the splenic area, the pancreatic area, the jejunal area and the colic area. Kindly practice these two diagrams and they are very important. Now, what are the relations of structures in hilum? We have seen the structures in hilum and how they are present. From anterior to posterior, the structures are vein, artery and pelvis, VAP. VAP. The renal vein exits, the renal artery enters, and the renal pelvis exits the kidney. So, the structures are from anterior to posterior. The renal vein exits, the renal artery enters, and the renal pelvis exits. So these are the structures, relations of structures present in the hilum. So what is the blood supply of kidney now? Regarding the arterial supply, blood supply means arterial, venous drainage and the lymphatic drainage. Let's start from the aorta, the main artery. Aorta gives off a branch, renal artery. Renal artery divides into segmental arteries, segmental into interlobar arteries, then arcuate arteries which form the arches, and the interlobular arteries. Aorta, renal artery, segmental arteries, interlobar arteries, arcuate arteries, and the interlobular arteries. While venous drainage is just the opposite, that is the interlobular vein, yes, arcuate vein, then interlobar veins, segmental veins, renal veins, and finally they drain into inferior vena cava. Is it fine? Learn the arterial supply and just go the opposite, that would be the venous drainage. Easy to remember? Then is the lymphatic drainage. They drain into the lateral aortic lymph nodes. Where? Lateral aortic lymph nodes. Now comes the nerve supply. Nerve supply is by the renal plexus. Renal plexus. So that is surrounded where? Around the renal artery. And it contains the postganglionic fibers from the sympathetic nervous system, that is from T10 to L2. So the main function is, to regulate the vascular tone and secretion of renin. So the nervous supply is autonomic. Let's see now the blood supply. You can see the artery and you can see this arrow. The blood is going to supply the kidneys, while the venous drainage is in the opposite direction. We'll see the another slide. Yes, what we talked about. So first of all is the aorta. From aorta is the renal artery, the main renal artery. It divides into segmental arteries. Then they divide into interlobar arteries. They're going into the lobes. Okay. Then is the arcuate artery. Arcuate artery form the arches. You can see the arcuate arteries over here. And the interlobular. You can see the interlobular arteries. So this is the sequence. This is the way renal artery works. The blood supply, the arterial supply. Okay. And the same thing works for the venous drainage. The opposite thing, that is, if we just start interlobular vein. Here are the interlobular vein. Then are the arcuate veins. These are the arcuate veins. Okay. Then interlobular vein, arcuate veins, then interlobar veins. First of all is the interlobular veins. Over here, arcuate veins, then interlobar veins, and then is the segmental veins, the renal veins, and finally they drain into the inferior vena cava. This is the blood supply of the kidneys. The lymphatic drainage is that drain into the lumbar lymph nodes or the lateral aortic lymph nodes near the aorta. You can see over here, lumbar, aortic and caval. These are the lymph nodes. Now let's study the clinical anatomy of kidneys. What are the common diseases of kidney? These are nephritis. Itis means inflammation. Pyelonephritis, tuberculosis, stones, tumors. So these are the common diseases of kidney. and this one term known as renal angle. Renal angle is nothing, it is the angle between the lower border of the 12th rib, lower border of the 12th rib and the outer border of erector spinae. Erector spinae muscles are the muscles of the back, erector spinae muscles. So, and the other applied aspect is that one has to be the surgeon has to be careful regarding the surgical procedures for the kidney, because there can be there is a danger of opening of the pleural cavity. So pleural cavity, there is a danger which shouldn't be there. Let's see now what's renal angle. Renal angle is, what is the renal angle? It's the angle between the lower border of the 12th rib and the lateral border of the erector spinae muscle. These are the muscles of the back. It lies the lower part of the kidney. And sometimes when there is abscess, formation of pus, pain can be felt in this area. That is a renal angle. So you can see the erector spinae muscles of the back. Let's see the tuberculosis. What happens in tuberculosis? There are presence of white granulomas. This is the cut section, and you can see the white granulomas. So the kidneys are affected by the tuberculosis. There is a formation of the granulomas. Then tumors. There can be tumor in the kidney, and this tumor can be removed and the kidneys can be closed. Yes, you can't forget about the stones. The stones of the kidney. This is the big stone. These are the various stones of the kidney. So what can be done if there are stones? The treatment is lithotripsy. It is known as lithotripsy. That is ultrasound guided. That is a powerful speaker on the outside of the kidney is used, in which sends a shock wave which the tissue absorbs, but the stones shatter, so that the pieces can pass through the pelvis, ureter and come out from the urine. Or sometimes they put stent also. So how to prevent these kidney stones? Drink enough fluid, water, so that the urine stays clear and light colored. I hope you have understood everything. If you have any query, please let me know. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Let's have a look. Sorry, one more slide was left, in which we can see the lithotripsy, the ultrasound shock waves, and yes, these are the stones which they break up and they can easily pass. Yes, this was the last slide. Thank you.